Welcome to The Science of Self, where you change your life from the inside out. I'm your host, Russell, and today is Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. An interesting mix of holidays today. It's All Saints' Day, which is a Christian holiday that celebrates all of the saints, known and unknown. But it's also Dia de los Muertos, a Mexican holiday that honors deceased loved ones. For your lunch menu today, we'll start off with some nachos. Excellent. Follow that up with some deviled eggs. You might want to cleanse your palate between those. And finish it up with some peanut butter fudge. Today's episode is about gamification and how you can use it for learning, retention, and motivation. Gamification is the process of using game design elements in non-game contexts. It can be used to make tasks more engaging and enjoyable, and to encourage people to achieve their goals. This episode comes from the book Lifelong Learner by Peter Hollins, available, of course, on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. You can learn more about Peter Hollins and get some free information from him at his webpage at bit.ly/Peter Hollins. Thanks for joining us today. Gamification is an increasingly popular active learning strategy that can liven up any educational environment. By providing rewards and challenges, gamification keeps you engaged and motivated to learn while enlivening the atmosphere. This fun approach is based on theories of motivation, cognitive psychology, and behavioral science, and promotes cooperative problem-solving alongside competition. Gamification has been gaining traction in recent years as a way to boost motivation and productivity. By incorporating elements such as game-like challenges and rewards into the environment, you're more likely to stay engaged in day-to-day tasks. However, it's important not to forget the importance of intrinsic motivation and passion. If those factors aren't present, the initial motivating factors provided by gamification will have little long-term success. Creating an environment where people feel free to pursue their interests can foster meaningful relationships that go beyond simple challenge-based reward systems. If a strong sense of purpose exists, you're more likely to stay motivated over long periods of time, regardless of gamified elements. Let's see how you can make studying for that exam just a little bit more fun. The world of video games was a place of total escapism for Michael. As soon as he booted up his computer and clicked on the game, he felt like he'd been transported to another realm entirely. Every detail in the game seemed incredibly lifelike, from the character's facial expressions to the sound effects that made it seem like he was really there. Michael found himself quickly immersed in this alternate universe where danger lurked around every corner, but also possibilities were endless. He learned how to survive through trial and error. If something didn't work out exactly as planned, he simply tried again until it did work out perfectly. This process taught him invaluable lessons about problem-solving skills and perseverance, qualities that would serve him well in real life too. But more than anything else, what kept Michael coming back to this virtual reality was its sheer entertainment value. Whenever things got dull or stressful at home or school or work, playing these games allowed him to take a break from reality while still engaging with an exciting storyline full of puzzles and plot twists. It provided just enough distraction without completely disconnecting him from reality. Instead of vegging out on the couch, watching TV all night long, which often left him feeling even more drained, spending time gaming gave Michael a sense of accomplishment when all was said and done, because not only did he feel entertained, but also smarter after each session. At times, it almost felt surreal. Here, Michael was learning valuable lessons while simultaneously being taken away into another realm, one filled with dragons and knights and castles, but one that could actually teach us so much about ourselves, too. Gaming isn't just a way for people to escape their worries, but rather an avenue for them to learn new skill sets whilst having fun along the way. Something no other medium can quite provide. Judging from Michael's experience with video games, we can deduce that video games can be used as essential tools to improve learning, retention, and motivation. You might be wondering why on earth I'm talking about learning and video games within the same sentence, because surely not. They are nothing more than a frivolous pastime. You're right, and I'm sure my mom would agree with this sentiment. But I, however, am here to explain just how beneficial incorporating in-game elements, such as goals, rules, problem-solving, feedback, and fun, can help educators and learners master concepts that might otherwise be really challenging to learn on their own. So, what exactly is gamification? And why has game-based learning been such a hot buzz within the learning community? Gamification has become increasingly popular in recent years as an approach to learning and teaching. Essentially, it's the use of game elements and digital game-based strategies to engage students or learners to have more fun while optimizing their learning, motivation, engagement, retention, and performance. These elements include leaderboards, rewards, online badges, many other elements that are designed to help users or students stay engaged. Traditional methods of passive learning can be enhanced creatively by incorporating gamification elements, such as online challenges that students must work together to solve. Ultimately, these fun approaches motivate learners to engage with course materials more deeply and effectively, providing deeper understanding and retention through an enjoyable process. It's been demonstrated that playing video games during training can enhance cognitive performance. The use of game elements in education may enhance how well the brain processes new information and recalls it. The general features of gamified lectures, such as the audiovisual presentation, little chunks of schematized information, brief time gaps, and frequently recurring patterns, may help with this. Any new data we gain is lost unless it somehow makes its way into our long-term memory, and gamification provides the structure needed for this to happen. By giving us an organized structure of rules, levels, and rewards, our brains are able to easily access its two processing channels, visual and auditory, to effectively store information in our long-term memory by integrating it within our existing schemas in a creative way that makes for easier recall. So, whether we're trying to remember vocabulary words or absorb scientific concepts, gamification can make it easier than ever before. Dopamine, or the feel-good hormone, is released whenever we're rewarded for a specific action. Gamification focuses on giving learners instantaneous feedback that might otherwise not be available. By giving virtual rewards for achieving learning goals, learners begin to associate the learning with positive emotions, prompting them to try to repeat it, i.e., seek out more learning. Video gaming, more specifically a tank simulation, has been linked to endogenous dopamine release in the ventral striatum, VS, according to a study by Cope et al. The VS is a component of the pathway that is linked to motivation and reward processing. Moreover, a study of organizational behavior students' perspective looked at how involvement in a gamified course motivated students in general and looked at the individual effect of certain game aspects. 67.7% of participants said the gamified course was more or significantly more motivating than a standard course. Gabe Zicherman, author of Gamification by Design, conducted research that demonstrates that gamification can be used to make activities not just more fun, but also more productive. Essential elements of gamification and how to apply them to your own learning. Routines. Now that we've established the importance of gamification in learning, let's move on to the components of gamification, namely goals, rules, problem-solving, feedback, and fun. We'll now explore how to incorporate each of these into your personal study routines. Goals and rewards. Lucy was a bright student, but she'd always struggled with astronomy. She simply couldn't remember all the facts and figures needed to pass her upcoming exam. Her professor recommended her to try something called gamification, using game principles like goals, quests, and puzzles in order to learn better. At first, Lucy thought it sounded silly, but she decided to give it a shot. She created a quest for herself. Master the entire course by studying for 3 hours each day until the exam date. She began by addressing her current level of understanding, which would be her starting point, and identified her end point, due date of the exam. To make things easier, she mapped out the entire chunk of time she had available between her starting and end points. She called them path markers. Her markers consisted of reading her textbook, attempting assignments, and doing puzzles and quizzes. To motivate herself further, she set up rewards. If she completed her daily tasks on time, then she'd get small treats like candy or an extra hour of sleep over the weekend. Lucy started off by breaking down every topic into smaller chunks that were easier for her to understand and memorize. Instead of just reading textbooks from start to finish, Lucy made sure to make use of different kinds of learning materials, such as online videos or interactive quizzes, so that each session stayed interesting for her too. The more Lucy used gamification techniques in order to study, the more confident and motivated she felt about passing her exam with flying colors. Every morning when Lucy woke up, filled with enthusiasm at what new knowledge awaited her during today's lesson, there was no stopping this determined girl. When she reached her endpoint, she passed the exam with flying colors and went out to celebrate her success under the stars with everyone she held dear. When we think of quests and tasks in games, we often associate them with getting a new high score or beating a boss. However, these same concepts can be applied to something like studying for an exam, just like Lucy applied them. Think of your desired grade as the ultimate reward that you have to climb through levels of studying, difficult problems, and other obstacles to achieve. That's why setting goals in school can be looked at similarly to tasks or quests in games. You're still playing the exam grade game. Don't forget to celebrate once all is done and dusted. Rules. As Lucy continued along her quest to the due day of her exam, she had to make sure that she established strict rules and regulations, similar to those that ruled her in-game world when she played World of Warcraft. This is important because it let her know exactly what she was allowed to do and what she wasn't. One of the most significant aspects of video games are the rules, which govern not only how the virtual world works, but also how to win the game. They not only contain explicitly defined rules, but also have an evaluation of the player's efforts. Sometimes we do need to standardize our lives as such in order to achieve a goal. These rules will help us stay on the path and not stray, regardless of how much we want to binge all the new movies coming to Netflix this holiday season. For example, you have this huge exam coming up, and you really need to get started right away. You have diligently planned your quest, the exam, similar to how Lucy planned out hers, but now you need to add the rules that are going to govern your life. A potential rule for your quest could be something as simple as not sleeping for more than 8 hours a day, and no unnecessary travel until you've achieved all your desired goals. Perhaps the quest will only allow you to hang out with your friends for a set amount of time, and only on specific days. Remember, the quest is long, and the journey arduous. There are going to be creatures and beings, Netflix, TV, consoles, friends who always want to party, trying to stop you from making any progress and making you repeat checkpoints and distracting you from your final mission. Here, you can work on starting to improve your concentration, dedication, and agility stats to defeat these foes. Silence that phone, unsubscribe from Netflix, turn off that TV, communicate with your friends and let them know that this is something really important to you and that you need some time to accomplish this. Remember, you have to follow the rules at all costs. Otherwise, you'll be right back where you started, and it'll essentially be game over. Problem solving. The rules of video games may seem unrelated to real life, but they actually have some very useful educational value. For example, if you've ever played RPG games like The Legend of Zelda, you'll know that the best way to defeat challenges and progress in the game is by carefully weighing your options and strategizing each move. This teaches valuable lessons in problem solving and planning that can be applied to any real-life situation. Begin by viewing yourself as a survivor, tackling tasks, solving problems, opening doors to secret layers, and finding goals, a skill that can be taken into other realms, such as college or work. Every time you advance in the game, you feel accomplished and eager to take on the next challenge. Before you can employ gamification, you must recognize the issues. For example, having a close friend's wedding right before your exams that are currently limiting you, and frame them as challenges or puzzles that must be solved. As you design the game, the primary impediment to achieving your goal, an A grade, becomes the challenge as you try to discover a way around it to go on to the next level. You'll frequently learn more information if you continue to ask questions regarding the current issue. Solve puzzles, participate in dialogue choices with your friends. You might discover, for instance, that you procrastinated a lot, which has led to a lackluster situation, and that if you actually just learn to manage your time better, checkpoint, you might be able to overcome this issue. As tackling main quests and side quests within in-game worlds often require rigorous problem-solving skills, you can apply the same skills to your real-life quest as well. With every quest you plan, your path is drastically going to change. Depending on the landscape, your subject, and the weather level of your course, your way forward could range from a lush, green, shaded path in the middle of a beautiful forest, lined with flowers and fruits and fresh water all around, level of the course material easy, to a jagged path across rocky, black mountains with danger lurking around every turn, level of course material hard. Once you've chosen your path, you'll begin your journey. The energy you decide to take on this quest is entirely up to you. You can run, sprint, skip energetically, flashcards, quizzes, puzzles, and other interactive supplementary materials. Or you can jog, practice on case studies along the pathway leading up to your quest. Sometimes you'll need to pause and ask an NPC, non-player character within the game world, course peer in your real life, for directions. You'll also frequently run into trouble with the material. Unclear, missed questions, not enough illustrative examples, etc. These impasses will hinder your progress and prevent you from moving toward your quest. This signals a time to pause, take a deep breath, and take inventory. In the game, check your map, your health bar, your bag. Make sure you have everything you need. If not, you can also use the things or ingredients you have to make your own customized weapon or dress or food or medicine. In real life, go through your course materials, check your textbook, map, and your teacher, compass. This is to make sure that you're on the right path and are not wandering about aimlessly. You can also come up with a local villager, an academic coach or tutor who's familiar with the terrain you're trying to conquer. They'll be able to guide you and help you figure out your next best strategy in case you get stuck high up somewhere in the misty mountains. The mountain of course materials waiting on your coffee table to come conquer them. Feedback and fun. Start using points, leaderboards, badges, and awards for specific feedback. For completing little but significant tasks that help you reach your larger objective, points may be given. Badges are an excellent approach to provide yourself with immediate feedback. Once you finish an assignment successfully, choose a badge that reflects your acquired expertise. While gathering feedback, don't forget to have some fun along the way. Below is an example that will further illustrate this concept. The fog creeps in from the mountaintops as if it's calling out to you. Time to take out your books and study. You've heard stories of a powerful monster that lives high up in the misty mountains, and now you're determined to find it and defeat it. That one concept you've been avoiding for a while. You begin your journey with nothing but courage and a few meager provisions. Just what you need to survive. Your water bottle and a few snacks should suffice. No need to bring your phone with you. Yet, somehow that feels enough. As the hours go on, you find yourself trekking higher and higher into the mountainside, preparing to tackle that difficult concept. Nothing seems familiar anymore. Everywhere around you is an eerie fog that refuses to lift. Confusion, self-doubt. Finally, you find a campsite and try to settle down for the night, preparing to study. You glance around the campsite and notice it littered with small twigs. You get up, grab your satchel, and pick up the fallen leaves and twigs, rewards or badges, pencil and paper, small branches, textbooks, and some wild blueberries you find a bush of. Lecture notes. Now, you start to feel slightly cozier. After weeks of travel through treacherous terrain and relentless rainstorms, there it is, the monster's cave. The day of the quest, the final battle, also known as the day of your exam, lurking dangerously close by, with this being your mock exam. You steel yourself for battle as you step inside, your heart beating faster than ever before as anticipation overwhelms your senses. You run right back outside, not yet ready to face the monster. Exam within. You return to camp to evaluate your options. You haven't really prepared all that well, only read the textbook, and now you need to re-strategize. You go back to sharpen your sword, starting to apply and connect concepts. Feeling confident the next day, you go back to fight the monster once more, but alas, your fear gets the best of you, as you're not as readily prepared as you had imagined. As a last resort, you turn to a local guide for help, your professor, and he helps you navigate the uncharted waters, concepts you failed to fully understand. The very next day, you grab your supplies and move toward the monster cave, the final exam, with purpose. But what lies ahead is unlike anything you could have imagined. A vast chamber filled with golden treasures. The mock exam looks mighty safe now that you're fully prepared. Oh, how tempting they are, but no sooner do these thoughts cross your mind when suddenly, bam, something heavy hits the wall behind you. It seems like time stands still as two eyes pierce through the darkness at one end of the cavern. It is the monster, the exam. But as you gear up, pencil drawn, eraser held, suddenly all of your doubts evaporate into thin air. Your adrenaline spikes sky high, and instinct takes over. You draw out your sword, pencil and paper, just in time to block its attack, the clang of metal reverberating throughout the chamber. You brilliantly tackled the first question. Sparks flew across both weapons as your blades went again and again. It isn't long before sweat starts to drip down from every pore on your body. Yet, somehow, despite everything going against you, you win. Ancient artifacts scatter about its lair, shimmering brightly once more, not only signaling success over this formidable enemy, but also marking a new chapter in life for you. Victory is yours. Winning the battle feels wonderful. A shiny new badge, monster, or Exam Slayer. When we achieve a goal, the brain releases the neurotransmitter dopamine, a hormone associated with pleasure, which keeps us interested and prolongs playtime. That rush of dopamine is what propels and encourages us to take on the challenges ahead. Okay, this turned out to be way more dramatic than I originally thought it would be. But what's life without a little dramatic flair? But you see how through trial and error, you received positive and negative feedback, made measured improvements, and continued to try to slay the monster. The importance of feedback in the learning process cannot be overstated. It tells us whether we're traveling in the right or wrong way, ultimately improving our strategy. You can use this example to make your own fun, monster-slaying adventures too. Chapter takeaways. Gamification has become increasingly popular as it is proven to be an effective approach to learning by enhancing motivation, engagement, retention, and performance. By incorporating game elements into lectures, students are motivated to engage with course materials more deeply and understand or retain information better. Gamification uses game principles like goals and quests to help people learn better. For example, you can create a quest for yourself to master a course by studying 3 hours each day until the exam date. To make things easier, you can map out the entire chunk of time you have available between your starting and end points and break down every topic into smaller chunks. You can set up rewards for yourself if you complete your daily tasks on time. The more you use gamification techniques in order to study, the more confident and motivated you'll feel about passing your exam. When we think of quests in games, we often associate them with getting a new high score or beating a boss. But these concepts can be applied to something like studying for an exam, too. Rules in video games teach valuable lessons in problem solving and planning that can be applied to any real-life situation. Begin by viewing yourself as a survivor tackling tasks, solving puzzles, opening doors to secret layers, and finding goals. As you gamify your situation, the primary impediment to achieving your goal becomes the challenge as you try to discover a way around it to go on. Points, leaderboards, badges, and awards can be used for positive feedback. For completing little but significant tasks that help you reach a larger objective, points may be given. Badges are an excellent approach to provide yourself with immediate feedback. Thanks for listening to The Science of Self, where you change your life from the inside out. Today's episode was all about gamification and how you can use it for learning, retention, and motivation. I hope you found it helpful. If you want to learn more about gamification, I encourage you to check out the book Lifelong Learner by Peter Hollins. You can find a link to his website and to the book in the show notes. Just hit bit.ly/Peter Hollins. If you're a November 2nd baby, you share your birthday with David Schwimmer of Friends, Reshma Shetty, Danny Cooksey, Chris Walla, Kendall Schmidt, and, going back a few more years, Marie Antoinette. In 1983 on this day, the U.S. adopted Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we leave you with a quote from Dr. King. "Hatred paralyzes life. Love releases it."